OFW Abigail Ungria has been juggling time between work in Dubai and home visits to the Philippines, even amid the pandemic. The trips back home were for her father, an Alzheimer's patient. So whether at the NAIA or Clark Airport, the quarantine protocols are not new to her. In November, she was quarantined for just 3 days. But her worst ordeal was the last flight back in April. Locked down in Clark for a longer quarantine, she almost missed her father's funeral.
Talagang struggle. And ang tagal nag-wait ng father ko.
Ilang araw na siya nakaburol nung sa wakas ay nakarating ka sa inyo?
8 days.
Russell Benjo Amat is a safety engineer in Doha, Qatar for 16 years now. His annual visits back to his Quezon hometown ended when the pandemic struck.
I have a daughter na graduate from senior high, and she's going to college. So imagine that 10 days if we go home and we'll be searching and looking for a school for her. It's only a waste of time.
The Interagency Task Force has cut the quarantine days for vaccinated inbound travelers. 7 days for Filipinos who received their full vaccine shots from the Philippines. Everyone else needs to complete 10 days in an isolation facility. OFWs like Abigail and Russell, who already had their vaccines from their host countries, now feel left out.
Dapat patas lang.
Hindi makatarungan.
The Health Department's explanation, the Philippines has to check the OFW's vaccination cards.
Pumahanap pa ho tayo ng means to verify yun pong vaccination na manggagaling po sa ibang bansa. And this can be in the form of bilateral agreements with specific countries. Kailangan lang po natin ayusin yung sistema.
The Health Department says easing international travel rules will be gradual so as not to put the country at risk, especially with the threat of new COVID variants. But in almost any part of the world, you'll find a Filipino wanting to fly back home with their vaccine doses complete, while millions here still are waiting for their first shot. OFWs can't help but ask, why do they have to suffer for the gap? Lois Calderon, CNN Philippines.